All righty.
All right.
Well, this is everyone. Welcome to our podcast. This is kind of the pre-season of our podcast. We're kind of giving it a trial
we're kind
run.
of breaking it in, and
Yeah.
we could say we're actually breaking the ice
Mm-hmm.
on our first podcast. So we're kind of excited about it.
Very excited. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, long time, and you can see we got a new setup here.
Yes, very, very excited. We got our 3-camera setup. So I look into that one and that one, and then you look into that one and that one. But primarily we have our own cameras that we'll look into.
Yeah,
And look at each other and talk.
Right.
We're just getting down to the etiquette. This is kind of still new for us.
Yeah, but we got a lot of exciting plans, people, guests to come by to talk about a wide variety of just their personal careers working with us.
Yeah.
And it'll be real interesting dialogue.
Yeah, eventually, we're gonna get we get everyone on here. We could get David Ramsey, Mark Dacascos, Lenore Zan, Jenna Frank, Walter Jones, Chris Casamassa.
Yeah, these people have a lot of personalities, a lot of stories that they want to share with us. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. We'll get our fight coordinator on here, Alvin Singh, and we'll go over our different fighting stuff. We get all kinds of stuff. One of our fellow writers, Alex Kellerman. Get, of course, Vera Bambi, our host, who's integrated, and, of course, my wife on here. So it's going to be really exciting. But we wanted to break in and just kind of talk about all the cool stuff that we're going to do on the podcast, which is what we're doing.
Yeah. So we're blazing a new path here. What is the first thing we're going to talk about?
Well, the first thing to talk about was that we have a new podcast. And that's what we're doing. We're doing it right now.
Okay. What is the second thing?
Are we done talking about how this is our pre-season of our podcast? Are we?
Well, I mean, we could have balloons and all kinds of celebrations and going on and all that.
Anyways, there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know about. That when we originally shot Beatdown, it's like content is king now, and everyone wants the see all the behind the curtain and stuff like that. So we're gonna bring a lot of people on and just kind of talk about all the cool ins and outs that that goes on here at Bat in the Sun and the magic that goes behind the scenes.
Yeah, and we'll be able to insert some actual footage during the conversation and some pictures. Yeah,
all kinds of cool stuff. But now, let's get into the topic that everyone really wants to know about, which is where the heck is Legend of the White Dragon? Why hasn't that been released? Why isn't that out?
Well, I can side with them because I can say over the last 4 years, it's like a two-sided coin with me. On one side, it's been a lot of hard work and just just anxiety. And then on the other side, it's a great film. I'm really proud of the way everyone has persevered because we've been through so many ups and downs, mostly a lot of downs. And it was a tremendous amount of hard work on everybody, especially you and me and Nikolai, who did the special effects, to eventually tie all the loose ends together. This film had so many loose ends that story-wise, just even production, the way that the picture looked, it had a lot of fixing up to do. And then after he unfortunately passed away, we started to edit, put the assembly together, and then you see what's working and what's not working. And there was a lot of things that weren't working, but we had to keep everything we shot at Jason because we no longer had him to shoot more footage with him. So we had to let's see what can we keep everything at Jason, and let's now reconfigure the story, a lot of the dialogue, so it all ties together and has a flow because the story, because it comes in on the story comes in on a prequel or a sequel.
So I wouldn't give away too many spoilers. I mean, they're out there if people want to watch them, but as far as where the film is, and you're talking about the ups and downs, and it was we shot this during COVID, and we were lucky enough to shoot through COVID, but a lot of people don't know because the film is SAG, it's union, and you have to abide by union rules. So essentially, I think a little more than 10% of the budget had to go to COVID protections, and we had no say in that. If we didn't follow the rules, the film would be shut down.
Yeah.
And how that slowed us down is just using 10% of the budget, basically cut down on the amount of days that we could shoot, because basically we had 4 extra days planned, but that budget had to go to actually shooting the movie. And then also we were given like a set time we could shoot, because the initial shoot that we did with Jason, we shot like, I think it was like 24 days within 28 days.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like that's 4 days off, amongst, and a lot of the crew obviously had the day off because they weren't needed every day. You and me were needed every day. Jason was pretty much needed every day. Chris, our executive producer, was there every day. Ben Dukes, our AD and co-producer, was there every day. And it was so rigorous, and it was really hard.
I forget, how many days did we shoot?
I think around 24. Ben would know the answer to that, but I remember it was just exhausting. It was exhausting, and you're shooting, 12-hour days, 14-hour days. Luckily, Ben and Jason were able to match the energy, because what a lot of people don't know is just like, you're on set 12 or 14 hours. That doesn't, count, because, that you have to wake up, prep, drive through LA traffic, which is like an hour and a half. And then what I do a lot, as you know, I'll come home and I'll edit everything we shot that day, so I know exactly what to shoot the next day. Yeah. So, we would get to set. We'd usually be about an hour late, because I'd be so exhausted. I get home, I edit for 4 hours, get 2 hours of sleep, go back to set. That's not totally uncommon on films, as you know, but in this case, it was exhausting. So and I say all this because when we eventually took all this footage and edited it together and did, the assembly cut, which, a lot of movies do. I mean, all movies do assembly cut, because they need to, you get preliminary shooting, or it's not preliminary, it's called principal photography done, which doesn't include everything, because there were still days to shoot with Jason, and there was still audio, like his ADR. And we put the assembly cut together. We realized, man, there are holes in this movie, or things that work and didn't work. Very similar to the most recent Captain America movie. They had to do, I think, like an additional 35, 40 day shoot on that, because when they put the cut together, it just didn't work. They thought it would. These are highly professional artists, and it just didn't work, and that's kind of normal. But when we did it, because of the restrictions that we had, one of the biggest problem, and I even hate to say problem, it was Jason's passing, because normally you look at it and go, oh, we can write scenes and fill this in, but we didn't have Jason.
Yeah, when we were filming during COVID, we had no idea. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, for where we were at. And it's probably the best thing we didn't know how arduous the journey was going to be.
Yeah.
Because the undertaking, looking back on it, is just like, it's unbelievable that we've got to where we are today, and the film looks as good as it does.
What a lot of fans, I don't think know this, but, and obviously in our minds, we were never gonna give up on the movie. Obviously, we're gonna complete it, but you have to ask yourself the real question: can we complete it? And because you have to go through everything. You're like, are there too many holes? Are there too many hurdles? And you, me, and Chris were like, and for those who don't know, Chris is our executive producer, our investor, and he came in and he wanted to make sure to do whatever financially to make sure the film got finished, and the film would definitely not gotten finished without him. So we powered through, but it, like you were saying, it was so hard, even from that point. Like, how do you put all these pieces together, whilst keeping as much as you can of Jason?
Yeah. If do you think if Jason had lived, the film would have been finished sooner?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because after we did the assembly cut, he would be available. You're basically, you put the puzzle together and you realize the pieces you're missing. And with him being the star, you're like, oh, we can fill those in with him. And that's, like same thing when they shot, Captain America 4, they brought Anthony Mackie back, who played Falcon, and they were able to shoot a bunch of stuff. Just imagine having to now to piece the movie together without him there, how difficult that was for us. So, we had to bring a lot of other actors back. We had to make Mark Dacascos' scenes, put more of him in the movie, put more David Ramsey in the movie, put more of my character in the movie, put more pretty much of everyone in the movie, just because, there wasn't like enough. Because I know that when we shot and finished with Jason, the original assembly cut, the runtime, I think was like about an hour, or like an hour and 10 minutes, and now the runtime's it's closer to an hour and 30. So and for it to be a feature, it has to be an hour and 30. So like we got to get to it being a feature, because that's what we promised to the fans. That's what everything. So we got to get it there. So we increased everyone's role in the movie, which was also tough. And then there was the writer's strike, and we had to go through all that and apply for that, and that also was kind of a time crunch. Yeah. I know we did 2 rounds of reshoots. We did 1 round, and that's when we announced, I think, our first release date. That's when we were like, it's happening, you know. And also, I mean, we were obviously like, you know, premature in announcing that release date, but we just wanted to try to get some forward momentum, because we felt we were so behind the 8 ball with just having Jason pass and everything. Like, no, we have to make this work. And the fans were like, they wanted to know the film was happening. So we
underestimated the time,
right?
The release date. Many times we kept thinking it would be ready in 6 months, a year. Then it got pushed back another year, and it got to a point where I couldn't say another date, because we were faltering on our release date, and and I was frustrated.
Oh, 100. Yeah, I mean, I was too. And that's kind of thing is the fans are frustrated. But I'm like, but no one's more frustrated than you, me, and Chris in terms of trying to get this movie out, because, he's putting money into it. We're putting our time into it. We can't work on other projects. And we're like, and you want this to be so good. You want this to be good for Jason and you.
Yeah, it was a mixed bag, because, Jason's a good friend of ours. And we just wanted to make sure that he had a really good film for his last, what people are going to remember him for, largely for this and his years as being a Power Ranger. But this was it. We had to make sure this film was, because I couldn't live without it if it wasn't good.
No, I couldn't either. I mean, not even for the sake of batting the sun or our careers or anything like that, just for Jason's sake, because, he'd been wrong so many times or taken advantage of, and he wanted something that was his own, and he tried to work with the other studios with something that was own, and it didn't work out, or he was promised things that was never given to him. And with this one, I was like, well, this is ours, Jason, and this is something you can be proud of, that you can have control over and do what you want. So it's like you want to see the film become all the things that he hoped and wanted to be. People, I think people underestimate or don't understand like the personal side of this film for us. How
for us and for Jason.
Well, for us, being that we're so close with Jason, and like having to see him every day in editing, and like how that like is like weirdly kind of like, it's like a weird perception. I've said this before.
You mean after he passed away?
Yeah, because dear friend, really sad. We were all bawling our eyes out at his funeral, and it was like this sort of like really it's just very emotional. I get like the whole thing is very emotional, and but then it's like seeing him every day, because when you edit, it feels like you're hanging out with this person, and so you're like you see like it still feels like he's very much like alive and present, and like how that's kind of like a weird like mindset. It's like kind of wonderful, and and since the film's been done, and I knew this was going to happen, I don't see him every day now, and like in the last couple of months, it's almost felt prevalent now that he's gone, and just how emotionally it was just, like you watch certain scenes.
It's a grieving process that's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And right now, because our time with editing him, seeing him, you doing the video, me on the sound, those days are behind us now, because the film is complete.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of experiencing our process of grieving kind of right now, because the days are moving on past, and we don't see him as much.
Right, and it's it's tough. Like, I mean, a lot of times I'll get mad at him in my brain for not being here, but obviously that's a kind of a silly thing. But it's like, just.
I mean, can we talk about Jason on the set?
Oh yeah, we definitely can. I mean, Jason was great on set. I mean, he was committed and he loved it. There's a lot of wonderful things about Jason. I mean, he definitely wore his heart on his sleeve, and his emotions were right there. I mean, the whole movie is about Jason. Like when people watch the movie, they'll be surprised at how much Jason is And I know when Jenna and Tammy and Jason's close friends have watched the movie, they've been like, oh, that was really just Jason on screen, you know, because when he did Power Rangers, he was so he had to be, you know, Tommy, and he'd be up, and you know, it's a kid's show, and that's great, but he's like, I want my tattoos to show, and I want to show that superheroes get depressed, that they have problems, that they need help, you know. And
yeah, I remember him a lot of times just over in the corner before we started shooting. He'd have the script in his hand, and he'd be just kind of like just whispering his lines to himself, just kind of memorizing, getting his beats down, so his performance showed his emotions, because he had a lot of emotions that he was internally struggling with. Yeah. He would put on a good face and be happy and be working really hard, but you could tell that when, you know, at the end of the day, or when we hit certain times, he would just, you know, there's those demons, you know, that would kind of like start to take over.
Yeah, and he kind of liked it because he wanted, like, Jason was, as a person, I mean, you know, his poetry talked about how he wore a mask and he wasn't able to be who he was, but he wanted to be that. And Jason, I think, was able to be really honest through his art, which is true for a lot of artists. And there was a lot of moments that he could emote as Eric Reed that I think he had a hard time articulating in real life, which is why he loved this movie. And, you know, he would always, because I would write out the dialogue, and a lot of times I kind of write just kind of like, I don't want to say placeholder dialogue, but I'm like, Jason, say this how you want to say it. And then he would kind of go through and rewrite his dialogue, and he'd come back and he's like, I want to say it this way. And I was like, that's great. That's, you know, your character, and his character is based off you. And, you know, a lot of people don't know that my character is Jason. Basically, both our characters are kind of both Jason, his two different sides, and his inner conflict. And when the movie comes out, we can talk more about that and dissect that. But as far as go back to what you were originally saying, Jason on set, you know, he'd be wonderful. There's a great story I tell with one of our grips, where Jason, like a lot of celebrities don't fraternize with everyone. They kind of keep off to themselves. But he was not like that. He was moving lights. He was talking to everyone. And when Grip came in, and he, I think, I don't know if he like lost his dad, or it was a big deal. And he was like, oh, I called Jason last night, and you know, he talked to me for like 2 or 3 hours, and people at home, I don't think, know how rare that is, that like your lead actor talked to a Grip, you know. And that's not to downsize or disrespect the Grips, because everyone's equally important. You know, it's a village that makes these movies, but it's just very rare that, you know, he was like that. So he was really open. But then Jason also, like you said, would have these kind of emotional breaks on set that you could see, like
sometimes he'd drive me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people kind of,
you know, him and I got into a few arguments.
Yeah.
And sometimes Jason would just storm off, and it's just like, hey, we have work to do. You can't just storm off like that. But then the next day he'd come in and he'd be all apologetic, and he'd be real loving, and you know, you couldn't help but be drawn to him.
Right.
Because Jason had a big heart, you know.
He did.
There was just a lot of turmoil going on, but he could still open up his heart and listen. Like you were saying, he would talk with, you know, the Grips, all the people. You know, he does that with fans in line to see him.
Great about that.
Yeah, Jason could empathize with a lot of people because he himself had been through a lot. Yeah. You know, and so he had to just constantly keep his. You know, that's why he said Jesus didn't tap, because he wanted to be there for everyone. You know, I do feel a little guilty. I wish I had done more for him, or just been there a little bit at the, you know.
I mean, I think everyone feels more guilty, especially in this sort of situation. But it's, you know, I don't know what more, because we talked to him all the time. We were there for him. You know, we had, you know, there's a lot of things that I don't, you know, I'd have to talk with Tammy and Jenna to talk about publicly about Jason, but that just moments that we were there for him, and when he was having a hard time, and you know, and we're always, you know, he stayed over at our place, and we try to, you know, offer as much as you can, but it's tough. It's, you know, I mean, it's, you know,
it was tough assembling this film, but just because of our emotional, you know, love for Jason. Yeah. And we, you know, just were presented with having to make the best film of him possible with what we had.
That was true to who he was.
True, he was. And I think we did. I think we did a bang up killer job on the
great
film.
job. I can't wait for people to watch it.
I can't wait for the fans to see this film. I think they're going to absolutely love it. They're going to want to rewatch it many times, and each time you'll get more out of it. You'll see a little bit more of it, and you'll see Jason for who he was, because a lot of who he was in this film is who he was in real life.
And I look forward to, once the film's out and people have seen it, really kind of diving into that. But yeah, the film is great. Everyone that we've had over that's part of the cast love it. You know, all the people that we've shown at distribution love it. And that kind of gets back to like, well, where is the movie? Why isn't the movie out? If it's done, why isn't it out? Stuff like that. And it's in the hands of our distribution team and actively looking for the best route. You know, some people are like, is it going to be on Netflix? Is it going to be on Peacock? You know?
Yeah. Well, we thought we had some of these distribution deals wrapped up earlier during the filming. And just like how the film kept getting pushed back for a variety of reasons.
Right. Because the film just kept taking long.
And it just kept taking long. And
we just didn't want to rush us.
Unfortunately, you know, we had to keep pushing everything back. And, you know, and just deal with the consequences. You know, this is the fallout of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, the bottom line was, I kept saying, we got to finish the film, and it's got to be great, because that will fix everything in the end.
Yeah. It's like a sports team. Winning fixes everything.
Yeah. So, and that's where we are now. And the film does look great. Distribution is we have a lot of other people looking at distribution right now, and the deals, because Chris came in, put a
sizable amount of money in there, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
And it just raised the stakes on
how this film
had the whole film. And we're new at this year, but we're glad that the film can be bumped up to another level.
Yeah. It looks great. I mean, even that we know, like we had Lenore and Chrissy were over and they were really surprised, and they were on set and they're like, man, this looks great. Like you're kind of like stuck between like satisfying like three different sides. You know, you got to get the movie out to the Kickstarters and the backers. You have to do that. That's the priority. You got to do that. At the same time, you got to get the movie out into the world. You know, it's got to be bigger than just the Kickstarters. You know, Jason wanted the whole world to see it. He wanted it on the screen. He wanted people to see it. He wanted a movie. So it's like, all right, we got to do that. And also that's important to help Chris start to get back his investment, which is a process, and then hopefully eventually make enough profit so that the Frank estate, Jenna and Tammy, see a profit, and it helps them because Jason wanted that as well. So it's like, how do you do that? And you know, we'd love to hand the movie off right away to the Kickstarters because they've been waiting the longest on it. But that could destroy a distribution deal, because when distribution grabs it, they want to make sure they're the first ones to have it. And basically, when we get that locked in, then we go, okay, because you know, we've had distribution deals where they wanted complete control over it, and we'd be like, no, like the Kickstarters and the backers, they have to get the movie too. But so it's like you're having to like kind of go back and forth and turn away deals where you're like, no, like it has to do this, it has to do this.
Yeah.
So it's like I think it's far more complicated than people know, and the industry is like constantly changing. I mean,
it's changed more in the last, you know, probably couple of years, you know, with AI now on the scene, and movie theaters have kind of, since COVID, kind of been under attack, or just not generating the revenue they used to.
And then there was the rise of streaming, but there's also kind of the fall of streaming, because like before, like back during COVID, Netflix and Peacock and all these places were really, they're just churning out money for content because everyone's at home. But now it's the opposite. Like no one wants to put their film on Netflix or all these places because they're just not paying anything. Like anyone could get their movie on Netflix right now, but you're not gonna they're not doing anything. You know, Netflix is in debt, like I think like $20 billion. So really, like either Netflix is like they're making their own movies and they're putting gobs of money into that, like Stranger Things and stuff, which is getting 50 million views or whatever an episode. But in terms of like getting stuff on Netflix, you know, that's like we could put our film up there, but that wouldn't do anything in terms of trying to recoup some of Chris's investment. Our goal now is to go small theatrical, VOD, video on demand, where it's like on iTunes or Apple TV and Amazon Prime and stuff like that, and then DVDs like sold at Walmart and wherever they still sell DVDs and stuff and Blu-rays. So that's kind of like that's where like there's a huge movie that just came out that was starring Pierce Brosnan and Sam Jackson that did the same thing. That's kind of that currently is that's like the framework of what a lot of these movies are doing. So that's what we're doing, and we need to find a distributor that can do that. nationally and internationally, just because Jason's fan base was worldwide. So it's just kind of trying to navigate those waters. And like I said, the crazy thing is this stuff changes like week to week, month to month. So it's like, how do you stay on top of to ensure you have the right thing and look forward to the future and guess what it's going to be, but at the same time, like not wait forever to make a deal. Like at some point you're like, you know, like you, me and Chris are talking, like basically we're allowing ourselves to a certain date. And then if that's the date that we just basically say we have to make a deal on that date. And then also like when you talk to distribution, you know, they sometimes set the date for the release date. And now when we've told them, well, the movie has to be released before this month. Like it can't, because sometimes the distribution will take it and they're like, we'll release it in a year. And you're like, oh, no. Like this movie has to be out in like the next 3 months. And you have to allow for enough time for advertising, like P&A, you know. But it's like this, like, how do you do that? And that some fans have asked, like, why didn't you go the festival circuit route? And I'm like, well, the festival circuit route is like, takes so much longer. It could work. I mean, that's not a bad idea either. I mean, there's no wrong pathway, but you go there, you do all you do like a year-long festival circuit, and then you try to find distribution, and the distribution could come in and then say, well, they want to wait another 6 months. So like if, you know, because we talked about this, if we went the festival route, you could end up, fans could end up waiting another year and a half to get the movie, and that's not acceptable. The movie has, like the movie, I want the movie out yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I've had to, you know, adjust my patience, you know, so I don't, you know, lose my sanity, because I'm like the fans. I've been wanting to get it out there, just get it out there. But it's up to Chris and his team, and I know they're actively, you know, moving right now on some deals with some people.
Right.
I'm hoping it comes out. We can have some kind of announcement after the new year, like an official announcement with a date.
Yeah.
But we don't have that date right now, but I can say we are working on something.
Oh, actively. I mean, we have 2 meetings with Chris every week, and we talk about that, and we go over deals, and we're also actively trying to find different people, because we know people as well. So it's a team effort. I mean, Chris has his, and then we have Scott with Falling Forward Films, who's also like kind of heading that. But it's all hands on deck. So we're all trying to like really find the best way to get this out there while still respecting the process and what people want, and making sure the fans and the Kickstarters get what they want. So it's you know, you're trying to honor Jason, the Kickstarter, Chris, all these things, and it's like we're kind of caught in the middle. I mean, we made the movie, and we just want to make sure everyone's happy. Like we did our job. We made the movie. It's really good. Everyone loves it. They say it's got a lot of heart. It has that wonderful 90s nostalgia vibe. You know, which is fantastic. And now it's like we just got to get it out there, but I understand why the fans are frustrated.
And they rightfully, you know, and some of them have been very patient, and they understand. And so, you know, for them, I want to thank the ones that have been patient, and for the ones that are, you know, want it now, I can just say, you know, I'm frustrated too. I'm in the same boat with you. I'm also frustrated that this film is not out there right now, but I know it will be, and very soon. And at this point, the bottom line for me during this whole journey is that the thing that brings it to fruition, that makes it worth it, is that the film is good.
Yeah,
I know. You know, I'm a good judge of film and characters and development, and I looked at the film and I saw all these parts, loose holes, and miraculously we over all this time we fixed them all. We fixed them all, and now I'm ready to say, here it is, world. You can see now.
I can't wait for everyone to see it, and I can't wait for people to see.
Because I want to have discussions with them. I want to hear their feedback, what they liked, you know, even things that they were probably disappointed in. But it's real important just to get it out there, and that's what we're actively doing right now.
Yes, and it's just a long time coming, but I understand why the fans are frustrated. I mean, they're so frustrated to the point that they've come up with like conspiracy theories and things that they think of why, like, you know, like never landed on the moon and stuff like that. That it's like, I'm like, it's coming out, guys. I think a lot of them don't understand how much work goes into it, like you said, or the process of distribution. But I can guarantee you that everyone that's seen it loves it. You know, Jenna and Tammy love it. You know, so I rest assured. I promise you it's coming out. We've completed, I don't know how many projects we've completed, over 50 projects that we've put online, and they're all great. We make sure We put everything into them. So I promise you, this is the best thing that we've ever done. And I just can't wait for everyone to watch it and be excited about it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we've gone online many times, and you've posted many times about the situation we're in and the process of getting this out there.
Yeah.
So this might not be the last time we have to say this to the fans out there.
No, I've had situations where I post every day, and then fans will be like, when are you going to update us about White Dragon? I'm like, I literally just posted about it like an hour ago.
Yeah, well, there's so many fans. So some of them still haven't been updated or got the update of where we're at. But I understand, and I appreciate everyone who's contributed, who's been on this journey with us. In the end, you won't be disappointed.
No, and really, and even the fans that are kind of, intense or even rude, it's really just a sign of how much they're excited about the movie. Because you'd rather have this than a movie that no one's asking about. Yeah. So everyone's chomping at the bit for this movie, and that's great.
Well, this film, it has kind of a built-in self-promotion with Jason.
Oh, of course. I've always said Jason is just, he's a role model to so many people.
With all the conventions he went to, he had huge lines.
Yeah.
Just huge lines that just went out the door, down the hallway, and outside.
Yeah.
And that was internationally.
Oh,
everywhere he went. So
yeah.
So that's why this distribution deal is taking that into account.
Yeah, because people fans will ask that are worldwide, like, is the movie coming here? Is the movie coming here? And sometimes when you talk to distribution, they don't distribute the movie in those places. So it's like, well, we've had to kind of navigate and decline different things because they're like, no, it needs to get to the fans here, get to the fans here. And it's really, I think sometimes people think it's like a one-stop shop, like you're just kind of going through. Well, this
distribution has been a learning process for both of us.
Oh yeah, of course. We've never done this before.
I've come to find out that getting a distribution deal is almost as hard as making the film.
That's what one of our colleagues said.
Yeah.
But I can rest assured, fans, the movie is completed. It's great, and it's gonna come out. I promise you.
100%.
100%.
100% promise.
So
yeah, a lot of our cast and crew has seen it.
Yeah.
Because they're they come in from wherever they are, and they said, we have it, and they said, yeah, they want to see it. So we have the privilege of showing it to them. So, but they all love it. Everyone has given it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we watched it with Jenna 2 or 3 times, and one of those times when we watched them at our house, and it's just like, it was emotional, so emotional for her, especially for her, obviously. But for a lot of the cast, it's very emotional. I think for a lot of the fans, it'll be emotional just because of how much the movie is really Jason. I think
we had to stop. We had to stop. She couldn't do any more of it, so we just stopped it.
She has seen the movie 3 or 4 times.
And then that was the first or second time.
It was the 3rd time. She watched it first by herself because she was like, I need to watch this by myself. I can't be around anyone. It's gonna be too much for her, and that's totally understandable because she plays, she's his daughter and plays his daughter, so it's a lot. And Jenna's great in the movie. She's so good, and it's like, it's a weird context. When you watch the movie, her emotion and is so palpable. You'd think that we almost shot those scenes after his passing, but they were shot before. Yeah, and there's like a weird kind of like energy in the movie just because of how it mirrors real life. And but yeah, Jenna loved it, and so did Tammy. They both really liked it. We sat in the studio when they were doing the final 7.1 mix and watched it with them, and because it's really important. Like, I mean, it's so important for us that Jenna and Tammy liked it, and that it just, because they knew Jason the best, obviously. So they loved it. So that was like, okay, good. But everyone else, though, we're having David Ramsey come over next week, and he's going to watch it. Excited to hear this. Mark Dacascos watched it and loved it, and Lenore Zan watched it. So very, very excited. Yeah. Jason Font's coming by in like 2 weeks. He has to do another Batman fitting, and then he'll watch it. So rest assured, fans, movie's good. You'll like it. I promise you. There's no smoke and mirrors going on. It's a huge mountain to climb. But I can't wait to stand up there with all of you and be like,
yeah, we did it.
Yeah,
we're on top of the mountain. We made it. But we're closer than ever.
Yes.
I mean, do you think we'll have an announcement of a date after the New Year sometime?
I would love to have an announcement tomorrow, but I think the goal, especially with Chris, and it's right now it's a difficult time because it's the holidays, so everything slows down.
The holidays is a bad time for any of this to happen.
I would love to have, because once you agree on a distribution, then you have all the paperwork and the legality, and that takes a while too. Like it's not like like, oh, we got it today, it's done, we're moving on to, it's not like that. So I'm hoping that we would have like maybe contracts signed by the beginning of February. Like we land on a place like the end of this month or beginning of next month, and we have contracts signed by February. That's, I think, is realistic, and that's what I would like. I can't say it's going to happen because I don't know. And that's why fans are like, why don't you know? I'm like, because I don't know. Like, it's kind of an impossible thing to know. And then they set the date, the distribution, when it's going to be, because it's also, they can't like lock it in on February 1st and be like, all right, it's out on the 5th, because you have to promote it. You have to do all this sort of stuff. And fans are like, well, why aren't you promoting the movie now? I'm like, well, we don't have a date. We can't promote something without a North Star. I think releasing the film in maybe April or May, if we get the deal locked in February, because then we have 3 months to promote the movie, and then we can release it, April or May. I think is good. But I don't know. I don't deal. That's the thing, is I don't deal in that world. I don't know what, like, because there's all these metrics and numbers that'll tell you what day is better, what day is not better. This week's better, this week's not. So that's what I would like. Like I said, I would like it right away, but sooner the better. The movie's been done since the middle of July. There you go, fans. That's the update on White Dragon. We'll probably have to do a lot more of these and answer more questions, because people like to speculate and all this kind of stuff. But that is the truth. That's what's going on, and the movie's going to come out. So yeah, I think that's pretty much, like, I think we can end our first podcast there.
Yep.
I think. Oh, wow, that was weird. It just turned off. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
That was weird.
First podcast.
There you go. So, all right, let's just check everything here.
Okay.